Welcome to the video podcast of Silicon and Spice, where tech leaders share life flavors. And today we have Subha Shetty here. She currently is the Chief AI Officer of Wayfound, which is a leading AI agent success platform. And previously, you were VP of Product Management at Phonetics. And you also were VP of Loyalty and Rewards at Synchrony. And you have like 25 plus years of experiences. What makes your role interesting is that you have done a lot. Right. So my first question is, you have done engineering management, you have done product marketing, and now you're a PM leader executive. So what was your path into product management?
Well, first of all, it's great to be here.
Thank you.
Congratulations on this podcast coming together. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
And glad to be here, obviously. My path to product management is one of the most boring paths. I was an engineer, an engineering manager, as you mentioned, came to the US, did my business school, got into product management. It is the classical, most boring path that you will find.
It's a good typical path. Yeah.
But now I think, what is truly great is that product management has become so much more democratized that people from all functions can aspire to be a product manager. In fact, one of my best product manager hires was somebody who had a background in music. So
Nice.
I think that's the interesting thing about how much diversity we need in product management right now. I think that's really cool. But yeah, when I was there, it was a very traditional engineering, MBA, product management.
Okay, so you had the typical, we'll call it typical. I don't think it's boring. I think it's still pretty interesting because you have done a lot. So you basically realize, oh, you have a passion for product management, and then you have done other functions. And then eventually you realize, oh, this is what I want to do. This is really combines all the skills. But then how did you decide on the transition? Was it pretty natural? Because you moved from engineering management to marketing, product marketing, and then eventually kind of settled in product management itself. Like, how did you decide on the transition?
I wish I had a scientific answer for this. The answer is that, at the heart of it, I'm really a product manager at heart. I love building stuff. I love solving problems for people. I'm very entrepreneurial by nature. I love working with cross-functional set of people, whether it's engineers or marketers, etc. And I think that people aspect has probably been one of the biggest defining things of how I've had the opportunity to try out new things. So for instance, an ex-boss went into this company and she needed somebody to head product marketing. And she called me. And she said, would you like to do this? And for me, it was less about the role and more about just the chance of working with her again, which I really enjoyed. And in the bargain, I think with product marketing, I learned some really important go-to-market skills, some communication skills. It's not just about building your product, but it's about how you evangelize it, how you sell it, how you market it. And I think that has made me a rounded product leader. So all the roles that you see me doing all comes back to my North Star of being, a great product manager and building good products, responsible products that will hopefully solve some problems in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. What would you say are kind of the challenges among these different roles you have? Right now, you are a Chief AI Officer, compared to being the product leader or being in product marketing or being the builder, software engineering side. What kind of challenges did you face?
That's a really interesting question. You would think one of the most obvious challenges while actually trying out many new things is the question of how deep can you really go? Right? Depth versus breadth is something that I've, thought about a lot. But I think because my focus is pretty clear in terms of my interest and passion to be a great product manager. I think I use all of these experiences to add to that. So for instance, with my product marketing role, I really learned, how to evangelize and sell and just get better and closer to customers with products. So I see that actually helping, what I'm doing. Like right now, from an AI officer standpoint, one of the primary things I help my CEO do is connect her to the user base more. And so we do a lot of like focus groups, interviews, etc. So in a way that also helps me go back to what good product managers should do, which is to really stay close to the customers and know and understand what their life situation and hardships and problems are and try to create, solutions for that. So um, again, to answer your question, I don't know if this is a challenge, but I feel like all of these experiences have really helped me develop depth and breadth in product management.
Yeah.
I think one of the challenges I may tactically think about is there is that immediate credibility that you'll have to kind of establish. Going into a product management role, there is less credibility that I need to establish because I've been there, done that, in many different forms and functions.
Yeah.
But if I say, take up another product marketing role, for instance, I think, you'd have to establish a little bit of credibility in that, in the way mature product marketing organizations actually speak and talk and do, which is maybe different than how a product manager like me kind of approaches, product marketing.
Yeah.
That, but I've never really faced it. I've been very fortunate that I worked with great people that trusted in me and gave me lots of new things to do and gave me a lot of agency to be able to go out and do that. And it kind of nicely dovetailed into what I'm passionate about from a product standpoint. So yeah, I don't know if I have here are the 3 challenges that I faced.
I think it makes sense. So basically, for all the roles you have, right, it's you dive deep into this, you do the learning, and then there are a lot of commonalities, right, between a product marketing leader and a product leader. Maybe the lingo is a little different. There are some fancy words, some domain knowledge on the marketing side, but overall the foundations are the same for them.
Yeah.
And then similarly, you mentioned in your chief AI officer role, it kind of ties back to the things you have done as a product leader, as a product marketer, or even in the engineering management side.
Yes, absolutely.
You talk to customers to figure out, hey, how do we approach this problem they have? How do we solve this? So kind of the challenge is like learning, right, on the job, and then kind of dive deep into it.
Okay. Yeah. And I love that aspect of picking up something new, even if I'm in a new product management role. It could be a new domain. For instance, Fanatics, was a big challenge for me because there were so many domains that I had not had prior exposure to that I had to go in and not just go in and like tinker with a product or two, but like lead teams in. I realized though that I actually love that aspect of diving in and learning something new. And that actually reinforced that, for me. And I think we're, all living in an amazing age of like AI and generative AI where learning is, is everywhere around us.
Definitely.
So I feel like I'm very fortunate that way in terms of, having the opportunity to learn new things.
Yeah, I feel the same because at Stitch Fits, right, I used to work at like social media company, TikTok or Pinterest, but then versus Stitch Fits is also a retail tech company, right? You have the machine learning, the algo side, you also have transportation, logistics. There's also a pretty big merchandising team, right? They have to purchase items ahead of the trend, so then they think that customers probably would like it next year. So I found that kind of interesting. It's not just only, present on your mobile app or website, but it's also you have this offline component. As you said, there are so many different domains.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The next question I have, what is the typical day for you as a senior executive? How is that different compared to when you were ICPM? Because I feel like, you guys can't be just sitting there and then look at metrics all day, right? Or reporting to board of directors, right? There has to be some other action going on. Like if you had to describe a typical day, especially the role of chief AI officer is so new, right? How does the day look like for you?
I love the way you say, I think what you're trying to get at is what are we exactly doing, right? On a daily basis. Say it. Say it like it is. No, that's really interesting. I mean, I think fundamentally, probably the difference between when I was an ICPM and now in my career is that I have less time doing deep, solitary work. I spend much more time at the C-suite level, meaning it's all about truly driving a great amount of like empathy for the other person who is typically the CEO or a board member. Really understanding where they're coming from, what their needs are, and selling and evangelizing almost on a daily basis. I think the other thing that I also would like to spend more time on, and especially at Fanatics, I really wish I could have spent more time on that because that was a big need, is just developing your team, right? And empowering your team, giving them the context, the information that they need, and then just stepping out and allowing them to kind of like do their thing. Because, you hire bright people because you want them to execute the way they bring their experience and thoughts on.
Yeah.
And I really wish, I actually, I always feel like I'm a 4-time VP now. That I always wish I had a little bit more time on in terms of like spending a little bit more time with the team.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think fundamentally, I have less time for individual solitary work. Every meeting, every interaction is a sale, an evangelization opportunity. At the same time, every conversation is an opportunity to develop greater empathy for the other party.
Yeah.
And I wish I had more time to spend on things like team development, team dynamics, et cetera, because I actually think I'm good with, teams and team leaders. It's sometimes a little harder to kind of like manage all of that.
Yeah.
And it's the usual thing that you hear. It's a full calendar of meetings. And then sometimes in the evenings, you have to like make time to be able to answer the emails back or do the kind of deep work that you want. I've gotten much smarter at it as I've become more experienced, older, and wiser myself, which is I now block times in my day for deep work, for emails, for the things that I need to kind of like get my head around. So, do some productivity hacks like that.
Yeah, nice. Do you also spend a lot of time, I don't want to say the word like play around with AI tools, but evaluating or like hands-on research?
The most exciting part of what I'm doing right now is that almost on a daily basis, I'm tinkering with tools.
Okay, tinkering, that's a word, yeah.
Any tool that you would have heard about that is launched in the last few months, chances are that I've either used it or I have a very strong perspective on it.
Wow.
So, and that's going back to my really interest in like learning new things and not being afraid of that. I think that's really come to the fore right now with, the fact that there's so much learning opportunity and so many tools right now. So I'm tinkering with tools almost every day.
Nice. I love that. I mean, as a leader on the AI C-level, you have to really get into the front line.
Absolutely.
And then decide, okay, is this a strategy you want to take on? Or as a company, what do we do next? And then you mentioned the sales part. A newsletter I read saying like everything is just sales, right?
Yes.
Whether you are a product person, you do the sales, you make sure that you get buy-in from the leadership. Hey, we really should do this development. Or whether it could be like product marketing, you go to market to sell the stuff. But basically every day it's like a sales day, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What is your biggest challenge right now as a chief AI officer?
So Wayfound is a cutting-edge agent success platform, which means we help you, get your best ROI from the agents that you've already developed. We give you performance metrics at both a technical and a business level that will really help you understand and manage your agents better. And especially as we are all going into a world which is not just single agents, but like multi-agent systems, that information is invaluable for us to really help you unlock the best ROI of your technology investments in agents. My biggest challenge in doing that is helping people understand the need for it, and almost from the standpoint of that this is kind of indispensable. As a simple example, the way software projects are usually built is it's 80% build, 20% manage.
Maintenance and
right? You build something and that's the biggest part of what you're focused on, right? I mean, and then after that, if it launches, it's incremental improvements, it's tuning, fine-tuning, maintenance. Imagine if I told you that for agents, it is the reverse. Build is 20%. That means the easier part is building the agents, but the harder part is actually managing them, fine-tuning them, reinforcing them, and having them perform with that same level of quality or increased level of quality over, perpetuity.
That made sense.
So it's a
actually makes
mindset
sense.
shift,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It is a mindset shift.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm focused on right now and my biggest challenge, because we still live in a world where right now the biggest problem that everybody is still solving for is what is the best tool to create your agent?
Yeah.
There are not many people talking about, and then what?
Yeah.
How
do you
and then
continue?
then how do they interact with one another?
Yeah.
What is the right and most elegant agent human handoff? How do you manage that?
Right.
How do you manage those directives? So I think my primary challenge and excitement comes from the fact that there is an incredible opportunity to look at how software development has been completely appended with how agents are, and helping people realize that. So I work with Tatiana, our CEO, to put out thought leadership content that helps educate this space on what is to come.
Yeah, interesting, because I remember seeing a meme somewhere saying that you use, cursor lovable. It takes like 10 minutes to build a product,
Exactly.
and then 10 hours to debug, and then you have to fine tune it, because build is fast, actually scale it or make it lead proof or whatever. That's the hard part. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's completely right that it takes 10 minutes to build an agent.
Yeah.
But then what?
Right.
To your point, 10 hours to debug, an even number of greater hours to fine tune and performance optimize.
Yeah.
All of the performance metrics are very technical. So
Yeah.
it'll tell you, like a developer, uptime, token usage, performance, etc.
Yeah.
But what about business metrics, like
Yeah.
customer satisfaction, whether they're observing directives or not, how the handoffs are happening?
That's harder to that's harder to measure.
And that's what we do at Wayfound, and I think that's the harder part that people have not yet, I think, realized and woken up to.
Yeah.
Because we're all blissfully in this space of like wanting to create agents in 10, 15 minutes.
Right.
But this will evolve, and this
Yeah.
should evolve. And I'm excited about, leading that wave.
Yeah, so you guys will be ahead of the curve.
Yes.
When everybody is hands-on building, that you guys are, hey, let's think about what's next, right? Like
Yes.
a year or two ahead. Yeah.
Yes,
that makes
agents
sense.
itself is kind of next gen.
Yeah.
And in that, multi-agent systems, agent-to-human handoffs, agent management, evals, etc., is truly the next gen.
Yeah.
And I'm excited that I'm actually getting to work on all of those.
That's
things.
amazing. Wow, that sounds like a really good and fun place to be.
It is a lot of fun. Again, though, it's like, all of those learning curves are like jumping off a cliff. So you really got to enjoy the learning and the uncertainty that goes with it.
Honestly, it's overwhelming, just like how fast everything is developing. Just like every day you think, okay, I think I have, I get a good grasp of this, and then tomorrow there's something new. Boom.
Yeah,
Every
exactly.
single day. Yeah, definitely.
So Kevin Weil, who is the CPO at OpenAI, recently did a podcast with Lenny. Lenny's podcast is one of my favorites, aside from yours.
Oh. So he's up there. Yeah, I listen to his pretty often too. Yeah.
Oh, he has some competition with you. And he said, imagine the AI models that you are working with right now are the worst models that will ever be.
Okay.
Every few months,
Yeah.
these evolve, and with the new evolution comes a new way of working, new way of thinking.
Yeah.
And so when I heard that actually felt like a bit of a moment for me too. Like, I mean, we think we're working on cutting edge things, but the models,
It's actually the
worst.
Yeah. Huh.
so it's all about continuous like improvement by
Yeah.
leaps and frogs. So which is really great and exciting for me.
AI is definitely embracing the growth mindset, right? Every day you just like 1% improvement, and by the end of the year, it's like
Absolutely, and
7x or
every few
something.
months there's like a step function improvement.
yeah.
So there is incremental, to your point, through the days that you can actually see, but there is step function improvement with every model, every new foundational kind of like feature that comes out. So I think that's really the exciting part.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I think it's both exciting and a little bit scary,
That
right?
is true.
I think that's why you mentioned that Wayfound has a way to make sure, you have kind of the level of responsibility with AI agents as well, right? Don't have them like go out of control and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I would encourage, I think, all of your viewers also and everybody to really embrace this technology, like learn. And the best way to learn is to tinker with it.
Yeah. Definitely.
Not less by reading an article, but like actually use the boards
Build
and
the
the
stuff,
levels and build stuff yourself. Yeah.
Definitely. And now we get into the bonus section. I always ask my guests, like, what is your favorite clothing brand? So I'm, again, representing Stitch Fits. I'm always wearing the Stitch Fits clothes that I got in my box to the podcast. So I'm curious, what is your favorite clothing brand?
My favorite clothing brand is probably something that most people won't recognize here because I'm quite Indian actually in the way I dress.
Okay.
And I'll break that down a little bit. So I love a lot of like Indian clothing brands.
Yeah.
And I wear a lot of those kurtas and kurtis, and unabashedly, I'm quite Indian in the way I dress. So I doubt if those brands will be recognizable.
Okay.
But some of the American more recognizable brands is like right now I'm wearing a Banana Republic t-shirt,
Oh, yeah,
like shirt.
Yeah, yeah.
I love Banana Republic. I love their clothes. I love their construction. I love their detailing.
Yeah.
But I've worn accessories which are very Indian. So I always think, clothing is a broader part of like styling. Obviously, who better than you to understand that? And it's the clothing and the accessories that kind of make the outfit. And I always try to incorporate something Indian
I love
in my
that.
outfit.
I love that. You have your heritage, right? That's like something you really love embracing. That's amazing.
And they're beautiful. I mean, why not, right?
Yeah.
So I try to find, ways to kind of like incorporate that.
I love that. Thank you. So now the spicy question. Do you think the Chief AI Officer, this role will be a long-term strategy for people who want to have kind of the C-level career growth, right? Do you think this is a viable path for people who are working in the AI field, or is this a fad?
What does long-term mean to you?
I would say just like Chief Revenue Officer or Chief Marketing Officer, almost every company would have one. Do you think Chief AI Officer will be like the staple?
Yeah. And by time frame, you mean long-term would be
like 10, 20 years, maybe
10, 20 years.
Yeah.
So I think the spicy answer back to your spicy question is that if the current chief AI officers like me in this world are doing our job well, this job will probably not exist in the next 3 to 5 years.
Oh, okay.
And I say this because, just to actually tap into our, our own collective, memory, do you remember the mobile wave 10, 12 years ago, where we were all trying to fit a lifetime of like software work on a form factor of a screen into a form factor of a mobile phone, and it had, product managers like you and me had to ruthlessly prioritize like what goes in and wasn't that. And there were actually people like mobile PMs.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I remember that time. Yes.
Do you know any mobile PMs right now?
Yeah.
You do?
No, sorry. No, I don't. No, you're right. I don't see any. There used to be like iPhone or Android PM.
Exactly. Do you see all of that right
I
now?
don't. That's right.
You don't.
Okay.
It's because mobile development, being a part of that ecosystem, is a default of every PM.
Yes.
Every designer, every engineer has to kind of like do that.
Right, yeah.
That's how I see the evolution of this.
Okay.
Right now, because there is incredible fragmentation and diversity in ecosystems, foundational models, tools, etc., it needs a little bit more, quote unquote, babysitting from people with specific AI titles to be able to make this more mainstream. But the goal is to make it mainstream. My success will be measured by the fact that in 3 to 5 years, Wayfound or any other company will not need a chief AI officer. It will be a part of the DNA of every person working in the company.
Because it's democratized, just like
Absolutely
how Toby mentioned in the Shopify leaked email saying everybody should use it.
Everybody should use it.
Yeah.
So when everybody uses it, when your default is that you have an AI first way of actually thinking about how you build products, how you design products, how you code, how you write requirements, etc., you don't need a chief AI officer. You probably need somebody to look at the data and the quality of the data and all of that. And I think those roles will definitely be there.
Yeah.
But from an application standpoint, from an evangelization standpoint, our roles, my humble perspective is that it will be irrelevant, and that's a good thing for the company and for the business and for the industry overall.
That's amazing. I think that's a really good take because compared to, let's say, marketing, right? Marketing, you would always need somebody to bring the product to the market, like go to market and have the leadership there. But for AI officer, once you get the people, the habit into let's adopting AI early, testing, iterating with AI, that's a companion. And then you don't really need a chief AI officer to continue to evangelize that.
Yes.
Right now, that's like a North Star. Somebody has to take the lead.
Yes.
But in 3 to 5 years,
yes.
once it's widely spread out, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
wow.
Just like mobile,
yeah.
just like cloud,
yeah.
This will become more mainstream and a part of everybody's daily work and life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This reminds me right now, like every design sketch we have, you have a web version, you have a mobile version. But in the future, that might look like you would have an AI prototype and then think about have an agent to do the testing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, we both have experience in the shopping and commerce industry. There is a vision out there in terms of agents doing all of the shopping.
Right.
So all of the UI that actually exists is only going to be crawled by agents.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty interesting vision of buying and shopping, right?
Yeah.
When you have agents, doing all the shopping and exploration for you.
Yeah.
We're
that'd
definitely
be an
exciting
that. World that kind of freed us to do other things.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah. Although I love shopping.
I know. Like, don't take away that from me.
Exactly.
Yeah. It reminds me, I think I saw that people were saying like Amazon blocked the ChatGPT operator, but in the future, if they do it in a browser level or something, there's no way for Amazon to detect that. So this is the path that eventually people will go down that path or something. Yeah.
And companies like Amazon will probably set the stage for how these agents will mature and perform and all of that, which will be exciting to actually see.
Definitely. I guess one last question, if you don't mind me asking, like, what is your favorite AI tool that you cannot live without?
I cannot live without?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Can I break that into 2 questions?
Of course.
What's my favorite AI tool?
Yes.
And what is my tool that I like that I cannot live without?
Yes.
So the one that I cannot live without is honestly right now just good old ChatGPT. But with ChatGPT, over a period of time, I've built about a dozen custom GPTs. One for stock research, one for rewriting my emails, one for my, social media, kind of like posts, etc. So I have very specialized custom GPTs. I have a, Tutor GPT for my son, which is built off Tutor GPT that is actually available in the GPT marketplace itself. So I have a few things like that, and I use those almost on a daily basis, as you can imagine. So I cannot live without that.
Yes.
But right now, my favorite tool that I'm so excited about, like a kid in a candy shop kind of excitement, is I got early access to Manus, which is an AI agent developer tool.
Yes.
And I am right now tinkering with the idea of creating an assistant for myself that knows me, understands me, and can do the things for me at like 10x the level of like detail and quality that I would do. Typically things like shopping, travel planning for the family, things like that, which, you could get pretty dangerous with a ChatGPT prompt also.
Yeah.
But a Manus actually will create sub-agents for your individual tasks and have all of these agents working together. So there's a little bit of an agent tech geek in me, which is very excited about this. But that's what I'm tinkering with. And I haven't published anything yet on Manus. I literally got the access like a few days ago. So you're catching me hot off the press.
That's amazing.
While I'm, tinkering with it. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah. I actually met Manus co-founder.
Really?
3 weeks ago, he gave a talk, and I made a LinkedIn post about his talk as well. It is amazing. His philosophy about having AI to do the work for you, like it could be tedious work, and then how Manus would show the thought process. They do the check. That's the best because there could be so many, chat interface tools that they are thinking or whatever. They don't check in with you. But Manus, on purposely, they will showcase, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I'm doing. They spelled out each, and then you can visualize. And then you can replay like how they do stuff. Yes.
And their entire creation and management process is natural language.
Yes.
I mean, I can't tell you how many quote unquote no code tools have been sold to me. And I go in and I'm like, Okay,
Is it
there is
actually no
it's actually, this is not no code. I mean, there is actually a decent amount of coding here, so I don't know where the no code came from. But as an ex-engineer, I'm fine. I
Yeah,
can
you
actually
get a
navigate
way.
this.
Yeah.
But Manus is truly
Yeah.
natural language,
Yeah.
which I think will lower the floor for how we interact with AI systems and applications so much more than what we have right now, which is, I think, amazing.
Nice. One thing that really struck me is that Manus mentioned that all these ChatGPT or cloud, because it's driven by prompts. So the potential is limited by how good your prompts are.
Yeah.
So he gave the analogy is that if you have a PhD level intern, you just lock that person in a dark room with a pen and paper, because that's the tools you gave to the PhD level of AI intelligence. Versus if you use AI agents, you don't have to have the perfect prompt. You just say, as you mentioned, like natural language, right?
Yeah.
You give the instructions. Sometimes it might not be clear, but that will kind of give the freedom to the AI agent versus you have to iterate on your prompt. How good can I do the prompt engineering? That's a major difference.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear. Yeah. And I can see that reflected in the product.
Yeah.
Like I want to hug a Manus, product manager for the beauty of their work.
Yeah, he's such a fascinating guy. Their team was really young too, and then they started I think last October or something, and they have never imagined the success they would achieve.
Yeah.
Of what they achieved today.
I mean, this is truly a great example of product-led growth. It's a great product.
Yeah.
I cannot believe they only launched it a few months ago because it seems pretty sophisticated.
Yes.
But it works really well. Like right now, I think it is the only product where I probably don't have, I have a very small set of recommendations. Usually I geek out on products so much that I have a whole, pages of recommendations and, improvements.
Yeah.
This one, I've just been delving so much into it with so much joy that, my recommendation list is very small. So great job, Manus.
Yeah. They do amazing work. And then they also released their mobile app, iOS app, 3 weeks after they launched.
I didn't know that.
They're saying it's magical when you can just give instructions, just talk. It's talk to your virtual assistant. That they will just do the work for you, and then you don't have to wait there, right? If you use a ChatGPT operator, you can't do anything else. You have to be present. Look at how they do. Versus Manus, they do it in the cloud, so it's all in the background, so you can be freed up to do other things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love that philosophy. Yeah,
that's a great point. I have an Android phone, so
me too. I was not happy when I heard that, but I'm excited to see when they will have it.
And they will have Android. Yeah. Well, fingers crossed for us.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Subha. I learned so much. I had really fun today.
Really a lot of fun being here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.